It was Barbara Billingsley who really hated him the most. Barbara Billingsley was born in Los Angeles, California, on December 22, 1915. Her real name was Barbara Lillian Combs. Barbara grew up during the hard years of the Great Depression, raised by her mother alone after her parents split up. Even though her family was poor, she learned to work hard and have a great respect for art and culture. She went to Los Angeles Junior College and studied theater at the University of Southern California. Then she moved to New York to follow her acting dreams. Like many young people who wanted to be artists at the time, she started out by modeling to make money. She finally got into Hollywood because of how beautiful she was and how nice she was. Billingsley started playing in the 1940s, when she had small parts in a number of B-movies and comedies. Many of these parts were small, but they helped her build a strong career in the movie business. She got training and got better at what she did by being in movies like Three Guys Named Mike, 1951, and The Bad and the Beautiful, 1952. During the 1940s and early 1950s, she worked steadily, but it wasn't until the late 1950s TV boom that she found the part that would make her career and turn her into a societal icon. Barbara was cast as June Cleaver, the perfectly dressed and endlessly patient mother on Leave It to Beaver in 1957. The show went on to become one of the most enduring family sitcoms in American TV history. The show, which ran from 1957 to 1963, showed how people thought suburban life should be in the middle of the 20th century. As June, Barbara embodied warmth, honor, and a strong sense of right and wrong. She always gave her boys Wally and Beaver advice and love, and she
After
was a
attending
strong,
Los Angeles
supportive
Junior
wife to her
College
husband
and
Ward.
pursuing drama
In
at the
later
University
years,
of Southern.
the part was often made fun of for being too perfect, but Billingsley played it with such sincerity and grace that it became famous instead of a joke. It was common for her character to wear pearls and high heels while doing chores. Billingsley later said that the pearls helped hide a hole in her neck that looked funny on camera, and the heels only made her look taller when compared to the young actors who played her sons. But her performance was about a lot more than what she wore. She gave the part depth, warmth, and a quiet power that showed a mother could be both caring and wise, quiet and firm. When Leave It to Beaver finished in 1963, Billingsley took a break from the public eye to spend time with her family. As a mother, she raised two sons with love and cared deeply about her own privacy. Over the course of several years, she only occasionally appeared on TV. That changed in the 1980s, though, when she had a big comeback, starting with a memorable role in the movie Airplane, in which she made fun of her image as a good person by talking jive to customers in a funny way. She won over a whole new generation of fans with this part, which showed her great sense of humor and willingness to break out of her usual roles. After that, she played June Cleaver again in the 1983 TV movie Still the Beaver and the new Leave It to Beaver series that followed. That ran from 1984 to 1989. In these revivals, she played an older June who was still smart and helpful, but now helped a grown-up Beaver and his family. She became a bridge between generations when she took on the role again, solidifying her reputation as a strong and graceful mother. After the end of the new season of Leave It to Beaver in 1989, Billingsley had guest parts on Parker Lewis Can't Lose, Empty Nest, and Murphy Brown. Her role as June Cleaver was also played by her again in several TV shows, such as Amazing Stories, Baby Boom, Hi Honey, I'm Home, and Roseanne. She was on Candid Camera in 1998 as a guest in a spoof lecture on motherhood with June Lockhart and Isabel Sanford. Billingsley's last movie part was as Aunt Martha in the Leave It to Beaver movie from 1997. In the 2003 TV show Secret Santa, she made her last appearance on screen. Barbara Billingsley was loved by many people her whole life, not just for her most famous role, but also for the values she stood for: trustworthiness, kindness, intelligence, and care. Off-screen, she was known for being friendly and open, and she truly enjoyed the love people had for her. She sometimes felt bad about being cast in the role that made her famous, but she also knew how important June Cleaver was as a good role model and never said anything bad about the role that made her famous. Through her life, Barbara Billingsley was married 3 times and had 2 boys who she loved very much. There were different stages of her personal and professional life in each of her marriages. The relationships she made during these years had a big impact on the woman who would become a beloved American TV icon. She got married for the first time in 1941 to Glenn Billingsley Sr., a successful restaurant owner with ties to one of the sexiest places in town at the time. Sherman Billingsley was the famous and charming owner of the Stork Club in New York City. In the 1930s and 1940s, movie stars, politicians, and other important people often went there. Glenn was Sherman's nephew. Like his uncle, Glenn Billingsley Sr. went into business for himself and managed and ran a number of restaurants in the Los Angeles area. These included the famous Billingsley's Golden Bull and Bocage, as well as the outrigger Polynesian-themed restaurants that catered to people's interest in the culture and food of faraway islands in the mid-20th century. He also ran the Stork Club in Key West, Florida, with the goal of bringing the style of New York City's nightlife to the tropics. After getting married, Barbara and Glenn lived in Key West for a short time. During this time, she enjoyed being a young wife, while also starting to look for modeling and acting jobs. Their 2 boys, Drew and Glenn Jr., were born during their marriage. Barbara was proud of being a mother and juggled her growing Hollywood dreams with the duties of raising her kids. Even though their life together seemed glamorous and full of potential, they had problems. And after 6 years of marriage, Barbara and Glenn got a divorce in 1947. After they broke up, Barbara kept her mind on making a stable home for her sons, while also steadily moving up in the entertainment business. In 1953, 6 years after her first split, Barbara got married again. This time, she married Roy Colino, a talented British-born film and TV director who is known for his work on both sides of the Atlantic. Colino was a well-known and respected figure in the business, having directed many movies and early TV shows. And he added a creative spark to Barbara's life that went well with her own interests in art. It was thought that they were together because they loved each other and respected each other's work. Sadly, their time together had to end in a terrible way. It was only 3 years after they got married in 1956 that Colino died of a heart attack. He was 44 years old. Barbara lost her husband suddenly and was left without a husband. She was very sad and went through a lot of emotions after the loss. Even though she was sad, she found the strength to keep going, and soon fate stepped in and did something amazing. She was given the script for a pilot called It's a Small World just 6 months after Colino died, in a project that would turn into the famous TV show Leave It to Beaver, where she would be known forever as June Cleaver, the perfect TV mom. Barbara married William S. Mortensen in 1959, which was her third and last marriage. He was a well-known businessman who gave her security and company during the best years of her career. Even though Mortensen wasn't in the entertainment business, he was a huge fan of Barbara's work and was there for her as she became famous. They were married for more than 20 years, which shows how strong their bond was and how much comfort they found in each other. As a couple, they created a peaceful and happy life that combined her fame with personal peace. Their marriage lasted until William's death in 1981, and they were very happy together, putting an end to a very important part of Barbara's personal life. Barbara Billingsley had both happy and sad times in her relationships, but she was always gracious and strong in her marriages. She showed strength, kindness, and unwavering dignity in her roles as a wife, mother, widow, and public person. Throughout her life, her family was always something that made her very proud. The way she showed love and warmth on screen came from her love for her children and husbands. For many Americans, Barbara Billingsley and Jerry Mathers were the perfect example of a mother and son on TV. On the TV show Leave It to Beaver, they played June and Theodore Beaver Cleaver with warmth, understanding, and love for each other. The suburban setting of the 1950s sitcom was a far cry from their real-life relationship, which was much more complicated. So much so that rumors on the set, and from people who worked there, say Barbara Billingsley may have had a deep-seated dislike, anger, and sometimes even hatred for her on-screen son. In the early days of filming Leave It to Beaver, Barbara was said to have loved the 9-year-old boy with the fresh face. Jerry was smart before his time, but he was also polite and charming. He knew his lines and looked the part, but as the years went by, that early love is said to have started to fade. Jerry changed how he was acting. He started to rebel, but not in crazy ways that made the news. Instead, he did it in quiet, dogged ways that made Barbara's patience test. He would be late to the set, forget his lines, move around a lot during scenes, or make jokes that were not in character, which would stop shooting. His antics made the younger crew and cast like him, but Barbara, who was always the consummate professional, saw them as a breach of discipline. Many news sources say that her anger was made worse by the way producers and directors treated Jerry. He was the show's star, or Beaver, so no one could say anything bad about him. Barbara thought professionalism came first because she had spent years working her way up in Hollywood with style and grace. She was said to be furious that a kid actor she thought was acting badly wasn't punished for it. Off camera, she told him he was wrong, spoke firmly, and even asked for stricter rules, but she was told to just let the boy be a boy. Inside jokes, she would tell co-workers and friends that Jerry wasn't humble and was too spoiled by fame and attention. She never directly criticized Jerry in interviews in later years. She always kept a nice tone. But people who knew her well noticed that her voice sounded tense when his name was mentioned. One former crew member said Barbara once told her alone, "I gave that boy my best years. He made my headaches worse." But Barbara's anger may have lasted the longest because she thought her husband wasn't thankful. She thought that Jerry became less close to the cast, especially her, after Leave It to Beaver finished. She often felt stuck in the role of the perfect mom as she tried to move into other roles. At the same time, Jerry took advantage of the show's fame, even though he stopped starring. It is said that he never reached out to her during some of her hardest years, like when she was taking care of her sick husband, or trying to be taken seriously as a dramatic actress, or even when she missed out on chances because of how she was portrayed after being with him. It's possible that the last straw was when a Leave It to Beaver reunion project was suggested in the early 1980s. Jerry, who was now an adult, was excited to play his famous part again. But it was said that Barbara, who seemed professional, didn't like the idea at all. She thought it was appealing to her memories, a painful memory of times she would rather forget. Someone says she told a friend, "It's like being told to walk back into a cage. That show made me who I am, but it also limited me. And Jerry was always the good kid, while I was just the lady in pearls." Even so, Barbara always kept up a respectable public picture. Some people say that her anger toward Jerry Mathers was very strong and lasted a long time, but she never let it change who she was. Everyone thought they were the right mother and son for TV, but behind the scenes, they may have been farther apart emotionally than anyone thought. Barbara Billingsley died on October 16, 2010. She was a popular actress who was best known for playing the good and caring June Cleaver on the classic TV show Leave It to Beaver at the age of 94. Her death was peaceful at her home in Santa Monica, California, where she had lived for many years and become very attached to. According to comments made public by her family and representatives, polymyalgia rheumatica killed her. This is a long-term inflammatory disorder that mostly affects older adults and causes pain and stiffness in the muscles, especially in the hips and shoulders. Complications from the disease can have a big effect on quality of life and general health, even though the condition itself doesn't usually kill. This is especially true for older people. Billingsley spent most of her last years out of the public eye. She lived a quiet life with close friends and family who were still concerned about her health and well-being. Her death marked the end of an important time in TV history. She had become the ideal mother for a whole generation, with her warmth, grace, and quiet courage. Fans, past co-stars, and TV historians all sent tributes. They remembered her not only for how well she played her roles, but also for how kind and professional she was outside of work. People who knew her well often talked about how humble, funny, and kind she was, even though she was famous. Barbara Billingsley was buried at the Woodlawn Memorial Cemetery in Santa Monica after she died. It is a peaceful and historic cemetery that has been the final resting place for many famous people in Hollywood for a long time. The cemetery has walks lined with trees and well-kept lawns, making it a peaceful and appropriate place to remember. Since then, her grave has become a simple but meaningful pilgrimage site for fans who remember how calmly wise and elegantly she played her parts, especially as the perfect TV mother. Her legacy continues to affect how women and families are portrayed in the media.